As a church, we're a lifeboat. We have a mission to help drowning people to find safety in Jesus, to be saved. It is an awesome purpose that God's given us, and it's the most loving thing we could do for our friends and community. We're doing that in all sorts of ways all year round, but in 2022 we're going to have a particular life mission. It's going to be the fortnight before Easter, so the first 2 weeks in April. And we'll have a number of events for people who don't yet know Jesus to come and find out about him. Our aim is to put on a varied programme so that most people we know could find something they'd enjoy coming to. After that fortnight, we'll have a 3-week explore course on a weekday evening. So encouraged by each other, we'll be inviting unbelievers we know to these events, and encouraged by over 700 churches across the country who are also doing life missions at the same time. We know that events and missions aren't the bread and butter of sharing Jesus, but God does often use them to grow us in enthusiasm for year-round evangelism. So in the run-up to April, the life mission will hopefully help us to pray for our friends and to shift our diaries, to invest in those friendships. And then that helps us, I hope, to pray and give time in our diaries for unbelievers all year round. Our God is on a wonderful, unstoppable quest, saving people, and we get to join in. I'm praying that this life mission will help us in that.
We want to be a church who build each other up to live for Jesus. Our life groups are key to that. They're midweek groups that are all about friendships that help us follow Jesus. We want to be friends who are connecting the gospel to each other's lives and putting it into practice together. That means that life groups are the main place where everyday pastoral care happens at Phillies. There are lots of people across the church we don't know that well and we can't know that well. In life groups, we commit to relationships with a small group of people who we can see every week. We share the ups and downs of life with each other and work out together what it means to live for Christ in the different circumstances of our lives. That means that life groups are great for all of us, whether we're looking into what it means to follow Jesus or we've been following him for decades. With the life mission coming up, we hope our groups this term will help and encourage us as we try to reach out with the good news about Jesus. We'll look at what God's word has to say about things like making meaningful connections with people around us and about witnessing to Jesus at work. All our life groups have a fresh start for the new year, so if you've not been part of a life group at Phillies yet, this is an ideal time to join one.
This time last year, we spoke about wanting to offer more opportunities for more people to hear the voice of Jesus as the Bible is taught. And one of the big things we had in mind was launching a new congregation that would help us reach central Liverpool. Liverpool city centre is fantastically vibrant and diverse. It is one of the youngest and fastest growing in the UK. It is populated by some of the 75,000 students studying at one of our universities. It has a number of businesses, both established and startups. And of course, over the last 15 years or so, there have been numerous developments and redevelopments to provide housing for the young professionals holding those jobs. And we want to reach them. And so a year after talking about these plans, we are ready for a gentle lift-off with this work. Here's what we're going to do. From next Sunday evening, a small group of us are going to be meeting at 6:30, likely in the Turncoat Bar down on Albert Dock, to share some food and drink together, to hear a short talk from the Bible, to discuss some of the plans and the challenges that will go with it, and to pray for the work. And I think it's going to be an awful lot of fun. But we believe this work is exciting and important for a number of reasons.
I'm really looking forward to having a chat service that my colleagues can easily come along to.
I'm really sad that there are thousands of students in Liverpool who don't know Jesus. But what I'm excited about for this congregation is that we're going to be joining the work in the city centre to reach those students and give them the news that brings life everlasting.
I love this city, Liverpool. You must do too, and that's why you're here. And given the fact, if we love Jesus, wouldn't we also want to share that love and proclaim the gospel to the people of the city? And therefore, this congregation is a perfect opportunity to do that, and a great springboard opportunity for more churches to come into being.
So we're doing this because we love Liverpool, because we feel that there is gospel need among the students in our city, and because we want everyone at Phillies to be able to invite their friends and colleagues along to a service that will be accessible to them. Now here's what you can do right now. Firstly, please pray for the work. We are starting with mustard seed proportions, and yet we worship a mighty God and the gospel is powerful. Please pray for us. Secondly, consider joining us. Many people at Phillies attend more than one service. Please think about making the city congregation your main service or a second service that you attend on a Sunday. And finally, if you're thinking about coming along, also be thinking right now about who you might invite to come with you. Maybe a non-Christian or a Christian who hasn't yet settled in the church or has a particular passion for the city centre. Please pray, please consider joining us, and please think about who you might invite to come with you.
Like most of the operations of our church, one of the things our city congregation plans depend on is money. We already have £75,000 given by Christians from outside of Phillies. That comfortably covers us for the next 12 months of salary and rent and website and publicity and music. But Brian's departure has changed the pace of external funding we can expect. And so, giving from our church family is now going to be crucial for the city work in the medium and long term. We want to spend the money on gospel ministry. The big thing a work like this needs isn't an attractive website or a good building to rent or wonderful music. Those things are great. But the big thing we need is the Bible to be taught. The gospel word is how the Spirit of God brings people to life in Jesus. So, to put it bluntly, being able to pay Michael is really important. We haven't brought Michael and the Allen family for a one-year work. As a church, we're committed to this city congregation, and we want to give it time to get established and grow. And for that, we need to be able to keep paying and housing Michael, and ideally other Bible teachers in the coming years. We aim to raise an extra £30,000 a year, and we hope as much of that as possible will come from within our church family giving, from people starting to give regularly or increasing the amount they give. It's ambitious, but not that ambitious. God's been generous in what he's given to each of us. And God has increased our giving lots in the last few years already. I'd like to ask us all to pray and think in the next few weeks about whether you want to use some of what he's given you for this city centre vision.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about our new mission partner, Iglesia Cristiana Reformada de Madrid, or Christian Reformed Church Madrid, ICR for short. ICR is an evangelical church based in central Madrid, pastored by José de Segovia. It's also the church that I attended in 2012-13 when I lived in Spain for a year, and it was a great blessing to sit under José's preaching. Like Phillies, ICR believes that the gospel must be at the centre of our ministry, and preaching Jesus' death and resurrection is how people are saved. They are unusual in being an evangelical church in mainland Europe, pastored and run by natives of the country that they're in. To give you an idea, while there are many evangelical churches in Liverpool, which is a city of about 500,000 people, there would only be maybe 2 or 3 other churches that share our convictions in Madrid, which is a city of about 3.2 million people. There's clearly a massive gospel need. Recently, including throughout the pandemic, God has been growing ICR, and their Sunday meetings now have about 100 people, and there are a number of groups being taught the gospel for the first time by José. However, that does mean that they've had to move to a less than ideal temporary location while they look for a better building, and this temporary location is at the end of a corridor surrounded by various offices, and so it's not ideal for a first-timer. In terms of what it will look like for us to partner with ICR, like our other mission partners, we'll be praying for each other and we'll be supporting them financially through our monthly giving. But in addition to that, We hope that given Madrid is in easy flight range of Liverpool Airport, we will be able to visit one another and support one another's ministries in that way. I hope we'll be able to have a video with Jose and possibly some of his church at a future prayer meeting, so stay tuned.
If you ask me what my big hope for our children and young people is, I think I'd say the same as I want for myself, and as I want for my life group, and as I want for, in fact, our whole church family. I want our children and young people to become mature disciples of Jesus. Picture with me a church. At this church, whole families are getting to come on Sundays and to hear Jesus speak to them, and parents are getting to open the Bible with their life group during the week. It's not uncommon for families to meet up with a children's leader and hang out, or to have a meal with another family from church. Both children and parents have real friends at church who know them well and who can remind them of God's goodness. Parents often get to speak about Jesus at home. It's a struggle, but they mostly try to open up the Bible and to pray as a family daily. And families are teams, praying together and then working hard to speak the good news about Jesus with others who they know aren't following him yet. We'd love Phillies to be a church that's more like that. Here are a few things that we're planning in 2022 to help us. We're moving some of our life groups so they're at better times for families. We're continuing parents' prayer meetings that meet every half term and give parents a chance to chat about and pray together about things that are on their minds. We're hosting life events like Alice was talking about, which are specifically aimed at families and at youth. We're changing the way our leaders help out, so that while some people still help regularly, some will do so more occasionally. We hope that might give leaders a bit more free time to spend with families. If you think you might like to serve in that way, do let me know. I'm praying that all of these things will help our children and young people to grow into mature disciples of Jesus.